All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. We are going to be getting into the top prop bets for the Game 7 between the Denver Nuggets and the OKC Thunder. Let's go ahead and get into it. And so starting out with the game preview, guys, we are going to see that OKC is favored to win by 8.5 points in this one. The game total is set at 213.5, so not too terribly high scoring, but not also too low scoring where we're trying to target a bunch of overs or a bunch of unders. That's good. But OKC being 8.5 point favorites does maybe shift a little the prop bets that we're going to be on. Probably wanting to target a little bit more under bets for Denver and probably a little bit more over bets there for OKC. And so the biggest piece of news that we are waiting on in this game that could really impact the game is going to be Aaron Gordon. He is currently listed as questionable. I tend to believe that players that are a little bit banged up are going to try to play through it, especially in a Game 7 here, in the playoffs. But let's just touch on maybe who benefits the most if he does end up sitting. And one of the players that actually does benefit a decent amount with Aaron Gordon off the court is actually Christian Braun. Braun, per 36 production with Aaron Gordon off the court is about 16.4 points. I would argue that the points line is probably correct at 13.5, but worth calling out, he does get a lot of run with him off the court. I'm a little bit surprised by the lines that we're getting from Michael Porter Jr. as well. If Aaron Gordon were to sit, his per 36 production is like 19.5 points. I know we can't really bank on that. Obviously, he hasn't been as productive thus far this postseason, okay, but still the fact that he would be in for a little bit of an increase in his role and minutes and just overall production, that's just like an interesting line to me, but it's definitely not a lock and load by any means, just given the way he's played. And overall, I know we can't exactly fully trust the minutes to be there, but also they should be. I mean, he should be able to get to 36 minutes if Aaron Gordon were to be out, and that would be an interesting line there. It's a little bit of a strange one. I get it. It's a bet on whether or not Gordon's going to play, and again, I think we do tend to see him play, but this is a line where I wouldn't be surprised to see it go up slightly if, again, Gordon is out. And Russell Westbrook is probably the player we would want to bet on the most. He does get a bunch of minutes, obviously, this season with Aaron Gordon off the court. But in terms of players that are going to get minutes, he does see the biggest bump in his points per 36, about 3.7 more points per 36 with Aaron Gordon off the court. That's the biggest stat bump for him in general. His usage does go up slightly there as well. But I do think we could potentially be wanting to bet on him to get over 10.5 points. I think that's why that line is there. It doesn't really take much for him to get maybe an extra bucket here or there, a 3-ball, obviously, with this 8-point game and 8-point game there, but don't exactly love that bet either. It is interesting the lines that we're getting for, something like Westbrook. His per 36 production with Aaron Gordon off the court is 18.2, and it's just whether or not he would get those, additional minutes. And again, the lines that we're getting here kind of seem like a middle. It seems like a lines where if Aaron Gordon plays, we're not too dead in the water. If Aaron Gordon sits, we're not too dead in the water either way. And I think it's just a way for, PrizePicks, Underdog, all the books to get some volume in on the bets, because that's our end all be all goal. I think if this were the regular season and we're getting that question report, we wouldn't be getting any of these prop bets until that was confirmed. But again, I'm more leaning towards Aaron Gordon playing. Now let's go ahead and get into the top prop bets for this game. Now we touched on kind of what we'd be expecting with Aaron Gordon off the court at least. I do think the best bet, and the data says as well, obviously, it's going to be Jamal Murray for under his fantasy score. This is a bet that we have seen pop up a decent amount thus far this series, where last game he did not get the over. He did get the over, sorry. The under did not hit. Westbrook ended up getting the under as well. Given the fact that it is an 8.5 point spread, I could see us ending up getting to this bet for the under. And it's worth looking at Jokic right now and just looking at the discount that we have available, guys. Okay, so we are getting this free square. Thankfully, my bets for him, with the free square have already hit. So shout out to PrizePicks for giving us that one. But if you guys haven't used that, I don't know if I necessarily would force another bet from this slate, because again, the best bet that we're going to get in this game is going to be Jamal Murray for under his fantasy score. And obviously you can't pair Jamal Murray up with that. I would use a different bet that's available on the 9-to-5 PrizePicks cheat sheet currently. That's a good bet. I don't think we have to force it in there. But yeah, we take a peek at this prop bet. It is interesting that's popping up as a good prop bet. Again, in an 8.5 point difference where, 10.5 field goals attempted or made, he's only gotten this over once where he crushed it in that game. You would expect a little bit more of a balance in that, but we are noticing that game was the outlier thus far this series. So, not really a bet that I feel like we need to go out of our way to target. You might argue this is a better under bet on some of the more traditional sports books. And then just continuing on, we do have Braun there for his under 6.5 16.5 rebounds. This is not a bet where I would necessarily say you need to go out of your way to bet. I think it's better to just call out some of the big prop line differences that we are getting between all the different sites, and pretty crazy how many books are actually giving us this line right now. Obviously we have a lot of sports books that go into the data each and every slate. This is my way of, obviously we do the average sportsbook line. This is my way of condensing the data for you guys, curating the data for you so you don't have to sift through all the different lines that are out there. But if you are someone that is betting on a more traditional sportsbook and you guys want to take one of the overs or unders here, obviously make the best decision possible. If you're someone that bets on Flip, you could bet the over minus 115 or prop bet X, actually kind of a similar format. You could bet the over at minus 105. Taking it further, you do the opposite actually. You'd probably bet the under on Flip, and then no vig, which is a similar, so you'd bet the over at plus 100. So worth calling that out. Again, if Aaron Gordon is out, we do see Braun get that heavy minutes, and he probably will get that heavy minutes regardless. Like, he has gotten 42 projected minutes. He has gotten the over 3 out of the last 4 games, but we are seeing, some big differences, lack of consistency there for him. So he's either going to crush it or probably not crush it. Like, you can honestly do this as a potential demon bet is kind of what I'm looking into there. Another interesting bet would be Aaron Gordon, if he does end up playing, for him to get over his points and assists in every game but the last game. And if he's not injured, that's the biggest risk here, is you could bet on his over points and assists of 14.5. Noticing Bet Rivers and Novig are giving him interesting lines. We're seeing some different lines coming in. Prop Bet X 16.5, Bet River 17.5. I would imagine that's going to update. And obviously they're not giving you the choice for the unders with that. They're wanting to bet the overs, but not a terrible bet there. Obviously has done pretty well thus far this series. 16, 21, 27, 11, and then 23. So, pretty good in most of the games except for 2 of them. And so not a terrible over bet there. Aaron Gordon for his points as well. You could potentially get there over 11.5. Basically the exact same game log there. Again, we're getting a lot of books that are coming in with those lines. Just worth calling that out. I think I'd be fine with that one. I think that one's solid. Again, maybe it could be a demon bet that you potentially want to get to, but not terrible. From there, we are seeing Russell Westbrook. All the data points are pretty much telling us to bet the under for him. I don't know if that's necessarily the bet that I want to get to. He is someone that could get a little bit more run. Again, if Aaron Gordon does end up sitting, we do notice that over the last 4 games has struggled. And maybe reading into it, he's a veteran player. This is a game 7. Sure, he's going to go out and play as hard as he can. But he is a veteran player. Maybe these long series are starting to get to him, and that could be potentially it. Now, they have had an extra day of rest. I'm not too worried about that. I think that's going to bode well for Westbrook, for Jokic. And if you're an OKC fan and you lose, they blow the 8.5 point spread. That's what I would be saying is they got screwed over by the NBA, because if that game was taking place today, I would be pretty confident OKC winning. But because that extra day's rest, I could see Denver pulling this one off. So you could potentially bet on him under on PrizePicks or Underdog. I actually think the over bet on some of the more traditional sites is a better route to go. No big and Bet Rivers are giving it minus 195 to get over 8.5 points. So interesting lines there. But yeah, we're just not getting that many great ones here. So let's go ahead and jump on into the Thunder. Okay, so yeah, with the OKC Thunder prop bets, we're not getting like any bets that we need to go out of our way to target per the data. Having a bet that's over 54% likely to hit. We are seeing Lou Dort potentially for under his points and assists of 10.5. A bet that I'm indifferent about, not a bet that I feel like we need to go out of our way to target one way or the other. Jalen Williams for over 1.5 threes made is a little bit of an interesting one. 0-2, 0-3, 0-2. It's just whether or not he's shooting the basketball well is pretty much what that comes down to, obviously, but not a bet that I feel like we need to go out of our way to target. SGA, rebounds and assists, 12.5. This is a bet where if they are winning by 8.5 points, but it's not a complete blowout, I could see getting to, but again, not necessarily a bet that I need to go out of my way to target. We are seeing SGA at 7 assists. I feel like this one has a good chance to hit or at least be a push. Okay, we are seeing differing lines coming in. ESPN Bet, for example, minus 145 to get over 6.5, whereas all the other books have it at basically 7.5 to get the under. So yes, the line should be at 7. This is one of those bets on PrizePicks you could just place, knowing that's most likely going to end up being a push. From there, we are seeing Isaiah Hartenstein, basically the exact same thing, but with this points of 10 points. Very good chance that this one ends up being a push. We are seeing more books though have this at 10.5, heavily favoring the under. So the way I read into that is it's more likely for him to get to 10 points rather than 9, which you look at Flip, they're the only one that has it at 9.5 points. So just interesting there, worth calling out. But again, guys, if we are trusting Vegas on the 8.5 point spread, we are wanting to target more of the over bets. And so we got to find any that give us some sort of confidence. Maybe Hardenstein for over 11.5 rebounds and assists. Maybe we need him to get the minutes. We need to not be a blowout. I could see doing this one, but again, it's just a tighter board for OKC and just in general. It's a 1 game slate. We're not going to go too crazy with that. And then real quickly, we'll just pop into the underdog sheet. They are much more strict with their lines, it seems like, the day before. And we're really not getting that many great prop bets worth calling out to you guys or showing you guys. But yeah, really not much here for either team. Okay, so did want to call that out. And then it is just worth calling out just any plus EV bets that we currently have in general. Maybe not necessary for the Sunday game, but we are getting Siakam and also OG for under on BetMGM. Those are plus EV bets currently. That's it. So we don't have any for the Sunday game. And we'll take a peek at some of the pick'em books if we're getting any there. And so like Bet Rivers, No Big, some potential spots that you could get to there as well. Kind of same thing applies. Chasing the bets have a 55% likelihood or better to hit. Okay. If you guys want to get to those, obviously SGA for under his assists is 7.5. You could get there. Bet Rivers, No Vig, if you guys want to get there, I'm fine with that. Now, as I was about to give you guys the bet of the day, I did notice an interesting thing with Aaron Gordon. Okay, so they just bumped up his points. They've been fluctuating it. It's went from like 12 to 12.5. But his rebounds is set at 5.5. So just like adding those together, that's at 18. And right now, his points, rebounds, and assists is at 20.5. His points and rebounds, as I'm recording this video, is at 20.5. That should obviously not be happening. I don't really get that. That's a strange one. So you could be betting on his under points and rebounds if you guys like that. Or you could simply be betting on his over points, rebounds, and assists if you guys like that bet as well. Did want to call that out. It's a strange one. Should not be happening. So guys, before we get into the bet of the day, I do want to remind you guys of the 9 to 5 membership. Take advantage of this if you guys are looking to place the best bets each and every day. It's curated data, not only for fantasy golf, but obviously for PrizePicks and Underdog as well. Take advantage of that, guys. It's the $10 membership gives you access to all the tools that are available on the website. All right, so it's just going to be a simple 2-slip bet here. That Aaron Gordon under 20.5 points and rebounds is a bet that I have already made. Obviously, if that is still available, by all means, go ahead and make that. I think that's a clear mistake, so not even worth, I think, putting it in the bet of the day because it's going to be gone by the time probably I even get done posting this video. Okay, that's how annoying it is. So these are 2 bets that I do like. Again, with the Jamal Murray fantasy score one, just be checking the underdog line as well. Okay, because chances are I do think that this one's going to be off compared to underdog, and maybe underdog's a little bit higher, and so maybe we don't want to be betting the under than on underdog. So just be on the lookout for little things like that. But I do assume underdog's line is going to be a little bit lower. Thus, the under fantasy score for Jamal Murray here on PrizePicks is going to end up being all right. I didn't really like in the OKC prop bets. The best one that I think we have is Isaiah Hardenstein for over 11.5 rebounds and assists in comparison to the sports books. That's one of the over bets that the over is favored there. Okay, I don't mind his like over points and rebounds, for example, but that one has a 51% chance for the under to hit. And obviously we don't want to be targeting any bets where the under's the most likely bet, especially on PrizePicks or under. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like on the video. That does about a bunch. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so before. Fair disclosure, we have been running hot recently with the bets of the day, so do not be surprised if we end up having a bad day. I always like to kind of preface that when we're on a hot streak. So thank you guys for watching. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.